Hello, my name is METİN Arıdaşır. This is second part of my theoretical explanations. As I told before, the light is the bridge between the two reality. How? When intrinsic motion forms of meta-sensation, perception, matter interact with each other in a location of its total volume, consequently, this means the meta-sensation, perception, matter interact somewhere of its volume itself by means of its cyclical electron motion forms. This moment is the birth of subjective reality. Action and reaction is interaction, then the sensation and perception is nothing but interaction, whatever its level. And for all living species, the subjective reality is nothing but interaction also. And all impressions and real images of our subjective reality are nothing but interaction also, which belongs to meta-sensational perceptual matter. Think of the photographic plate. For the things or nothings which are in subjective reality, I don't mean emotions, feelings. I mean sensations and perceptions. For instance, heat, etc. As universal reality, the light, or as subjective reality element, light. But first, now I tell you, the light is in the universal reality. As the successive waves of electron cyclical motion form, which is immanent and intrinsic motion form of meta-sensation perception matter, which produces and propagates successive spherical waves as repeating its motion form as a light source through infinity if it is free. Or the light as a single wave pulse, of which I termed as an atom-tied electron motion form, which it maintains its first spherical cycle motion form if it is tied to another electron-like motion form to make proton or atom without producing and propagating another successive spherical waves. But I'm gonna explain now. Electron produce and push the single wave pulse. I'll tell now, and I will draw. Say, electron motion form. This is our meta-sensation perception matter. Plenum. This is electron motion form. Intrinsic cyclical motion form of meta-sensation perception matter. If it is single and free, it doesn't need acceleration as accepted physics theories wave, because of, they say, if any source needs acceleration to propagation of light. But in my theory, the electron motion form, intrinsic form of meta-sensational perception matter, doesn't need acceleration. If it is free, single, it produces and propagate through the eternity successive waves at certain wavelengths. Okay? This propagation, free electron motion, forms successive wave propagation is light propagation. But this is one kind. What is another kind of light? I will explain next in detail, but for a while, now I will tell you. In this universe, meta-sensation, perception universe, for instance, this is free electron motion form. And this is another one here. Then, when they met, electron-like motion forms come together, may make joint cyclical motion, like this. Here and here. Now, this is electron motion form, and this is another electron motion form. I beg your pardon. Here. Together. Here. This is one electron, then this is another electron. Naturally, one up, another one must down. Okay? This is joint cycle of two electron or electron-like motion form inside of meta sensation perception matter. Okay. In the context of that motion, joint motion cycle type, we say atom, we say another thing. Now, this is free electron motion form. So, for example, produce and propagate successive waves freely. These are light. Then, this type of waves, when these waves meet a tight electron, motion, then this is enlarged. because of free electron motion, successive waves come in this conjunction, and at the rate of n equal 1, n equal 2, n equal 3, because of, remember, linear velocity 1 Vg, 2 Vg, 3 Vg. Okay. For instance, fifth Vg, successive wave of free electron motion form, come in and n multiplied by this tight electron lambda, okay, enlarge. This is absorption, okay. Then, if free electron motion form waves vanish, again, this tight electron motion form, which enlarged by means of free electron motion successive waves, when that successive waves vanish, again shrinks its imbalanced position. And while shrinking, this tight electron motion form, this is proton-like, okay, this is joint cycle, but single cycle, it cannot produce and propagate successive wave as free electron. Tight electron cannot do this. Tight electron stay only one cycle, always in balance or enlarging by successive waves effect, and when successive waves effect vanish, shrink again initial position, and then when tight electron shrinks its initial position, initial state, a single wave pulse, only single wave pulse propagated by this single electron, tight electron. This is another kind of light, as laser. Okay. Now, two types of light I determined. Free electron motions, successive waves, okay, through the eternity. Then atom tight electron motion, when free electron motions or motion successive waves affects its axis and make enlarge this tight electron, then when this successive wave vanish, this enlarged tight electron go back, shrinks. At that time, while shrinking initial position, it makes single wave pulse, enlarging through the eternity, but single wave, as single wave. Okay. Shortly, this two types of light from electron motion form belongs to meta-sensation perception matter. One of successive waves from free electron motion form, another one tight electron enlarging by effects of free electron motion forms successive waves. Then when free electron motion forms successive waves vanish, go back, shrink, then while shrinking, pulse. Enlarging is absorption. Shrinking to initial emission. Okay, while shrinking, this tight electron, while shrinking, produce a pulse through the eternity. Single wave pulse. Okay, I will explain next time. I will go on now. Again, light is in the universal reality as the successive waves of electron cyclical motion form, which is immanent and intrinsic motion form of meta-sensation perception matter, which A. produces and propagates successive spherical waves as repeating its motion form as a light source through infinity if it is free. Or B. the light as a single wave pulse of which I termed as atom-tight electron motion form, which it maintains its first spherical cycle motion form if it is tied to another electron-like motion form to make proton or atom without producing and propagating another successive spherical waves, but only single wave pulse. Two type light I determined. One of free electron motion form. Free electron motion form is light source at the same time. Free light source. Successive waves source. Free electron motion form. Okay. Another tight electron is single wave pulse through eternity source. Now, tight electron motion form, single wave pulse source by effects of free electron successive waves. Now, free electron motion form is source of successive waves. Again, absorption is enlarging of single electron, tight electron motion form. Tight electron motion form cannot produce successive waves. It stays only single motion. One cycle, always n equal 1. Atom tight or proton tight electrons n always is equal, but free electron motion forms n equal 1 and equal 2 successive waves. And tight electrons, linear velocity always and Vichy, linear velocity. But successive waves, n equal 1, n equal 2, 1 Vichy, 2 Vichy, linear velocity, 3 Vichy, okay. And say, when tight electron motion form by effects of successive waves of free electron motion form enlarges, and when vanishes, that successive wave vanish, shrinks initial form. While shrinking, produce and propagate only single wave pulse from tight electron. Tight electron, atom tight electron, while enlarging by, for instance, sunlight, okay, come in and make enlarged successive waves, sunlight. Enlarging is absorption. And when free electrons, successive waves vanishes, effects vanishes, shrinks initial state, tight electron, lambda shrinks, and while shrinking, one pulse, single wave pulse, I say single wave pulse, okay. This is emission. In my theory, emission and absorption is that. And in my theory, free electron motion successive waves are continuous waves. But atom tight or proton tight electron, single electron motions, single wave pulse is line as spike, okay. Free electron motion is the source of continuous spectrum in my theory. Single free electron motion form produces successive waves, and I will explain next. Single and free electron motion form source of successive waves, at the same time source of continuous spectrums. Okay, you know, continuous spectrum. But tight, atom tight or proton tight electron, which produce and propagate only single pulse, in my theory, I termed it single wave pulse. Okay, discontinuous spectrum. Okay, like this. Not continuous. In graphs, example X-ray graphs, here, intensity, wavelength, here, continuous spectrum. According to my theory, continuous spectrum belongs to free electron motion, successive waves. And sometimes as spike, this line, okay, as spike, pulse. It shows pulse of single wave pulse. It shows single wave pulse of atom type electron, according to my theory. Okay, roughly, I tell you, I told you now. Next time I will explain all of that by my another energy formulas, different wave velocity formulas, my formulas. I will explain all of that. Okay. Now, I told you in meta sensational perceptual matter, two types of wave propagation. In subjective reality, same light. Is the sensation in our living species subjective reality, which we, for instance, measure the time or the distance or the temperature, etc., between two light suns, or which we, for instance, measure the interference pattern at the same time, etc. Okay. Interaction types of metasensation perception matter. A. Interaction of free electron motion forms and atom-tight electron motion forms. This type interaction makes occur all atomic spectrum variations if free electron motion wave doesn't break down the tie between electron and proton. Yes, I mean that. This is free electron motion form which produces and propagates successive waves. This is atom-tight electron motion form. And here, free electron motion forms, successive waves come in and come in. If free electron motion forms successive waves, wavelengths narrower than this or equal to tight electron motion's wavelength, or smaller, this waves break this tie. Okay, and this electron from now on will be free. Tight electron will be free. But if these wavelengths are bigger than this tight electron's wavelength, this larger wavelength free electron motion forms waves make a large tight electron, and when they vanish, tight electron shrinks its initial position. Okay, while shrinking, produce single wave pulse, tight electron. Okay, I will explain all of this by my another formulas. What is my another formula? For example, En equal, remember, H C divided by N carré N square. This is my formula. What is N? N is number of successive waves of free electron motion form. This is n equal 1, n equal 2, n equal 3. Okay. This is one of my main formula. Okay. Next time I will explain that. This is one of my main formulas. This is my formula. Okay. Now, interaction of free electron motion forms and atom-tight electron motion forms. This type of interaction makes occur all atomic spectrum variations. If free electron motion wave doesn't break down the tie between electron and proton, if free electron motion wave breaks the tie of them, tight electron will be free and there will be heat and newly free electron successive waves. B. Interaction between free electron motion forms, black holes, lightning, plasma.